Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
It's a great day to be a Wildcat!
Cocaine.
Durfing.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie. I am your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, this time he's back. He's got his audio working. The good chef Andre Napier is one of my co-hosts joining me. The other co-host, as always, is Fireball Matt Marchesini, and we've got a game to preview. We're going to try to keep it relatively brief because all three of us are intent on watching this Chiefs-Eagles game that is going on while we're recording. So we're going to preview this Iowa State game. We're going to give you our locks. We're going to do some senior night superlatives, which we think would be fun, just given we've got, I think, 20 seniors who are going to be walking in this final game this weekend for a lot of those guys. But how are you feeling about the Iowa State matchup, guys? It's the 107th installment of Farmageddon. We get it, 3-4 more times before they get rid of it in 2027?
Yeah, the countdown. Yeah, the countdown to 2027. We're going to cherish every single one of these. It is one of the most fun matchups, in my opinion. You know, it's a good internet matchup amongst the fans. It's not like, you know, the newcomers where you're just trying to figure things out. We know who we're going to get. We know the teams. Matt Campbell's been there a long time. Chris Kleiman's been here a long time. And it's gone back and forth. So it's always one of those fun matchups. It seems like it's been competitive, but we've also got some blowouts, and I would, after last week, I would really love a blowout in this situation.
Really love a blowout. I would agree, but
from you,
yeah. This game will be interesting. I have a lot more confidence in this game than I did for the KU game, which I would like to say for about 3.5 quarters in that game, I was proving
you were right. You were right.
Proving my point, but I'm very confident in a couple pieces. One, having this type of environment at home is going to be, I don't know why you guys are smiling like that, but this type of environment at home is going to be awesome, especially with senior night. And, I am just super excited with how this team's going to end this season. I feel confident in saying they're going to end it on a really high note. Obviously, I would love a blowout. I think Iowa State's a competitive team. I would bet that this game is pretty close in the first half. I don't see it like the Baylor game or the Houston game or the TCU game, but you never know. We definitely have some matchups against Iowa State that are going to really fit some of our strengths, especially on the defensive side, and making them one-dimensional, and getting their freshman quarterback maybe a little bit on his toes a little bit. If we can get him to make some mistakes like he's done this season, maybe it could be a blowout. Who knows?
I hope it is a blowout. I mean, I feel like every year Farmageddon is a very close, very highly contested matchup. Last year was one of the weirdest Farmageddons we've had, where it was a 10-9 final score. We had Malik Knowles had that catch that ended up not being a catch, but if you score that, I think the momentum of the game completely shifts. But you win a squeaker in Ames last year, and then we think back some of the recent games that we've had. Outside of 2020, you've got the 2017 Skylar Thompson, close victory, basically a walk-off touchdown there, if I remember right. You got the 2018 game, which we talked about with Jake Brennan on our pod from earlier this week. And then you have the 2020 game, which is 45-0, which I want to, as much as possible, avenge some of the demons from that matchup, because we really haven't had that happen yet. But I guess just thinking a little bit more schematically, thinking about what Iowa State's gonna bring this weekend, one of the things that I'm looking for is they've got a bad rushing offense where they got 9 rushing yards against Texas. And granted, that's a season low for them, right? But They don't have a great rushing offense. This is not the first time we've seen a bad rushing team, or at least a below average rushing team come in. And we've seen what happens in those matchups like the Houston game. So I'm curious, what are some of the things you're looking for in this matchup against Iowa State on Saturday?
I'll get to where my boy Matt just brought up. We got to get after Rocco Becht. You know, it was weird watching them play Texas, and it was almost similar script to what we did to Texas and Austin. Mind you, they didn't do it in a half. They kind of spread it out throughout the game, but, well, not really, because, I mean, what was this halftime score, like 6-3 or something like that? Something crazy. So it was low scoring in the first half, and then they kind of, you know, brought the points in the second half, and Rocco Becht threw it around the yard. 2 touchdowns. He was well over 300 yards passing. And you have to do that against Texas because they're so stymie against the run. But going on the road in Manhattan senior night, can we get after him? Do basically what we did to Hoover and what we did to Smith. Just those are names that that had strong performances the week prior going to Manhattan, and then were completely shut down. So I'm looking forward to getting a freshman on the road in Manhattan and getting after him. Are we healthy enough up front and at linebacker to, you know, create the pressures, give him some looks that he hasn't seen? I'm hoping that we are. I hope we get some good news coming from Kleiman, which, if you're listening to this, we have got the good news or the bad news. So yeah, that's why I want to see Rocco Becht on his back. Let's go.
Yeah, and to add on to that, especially not knowing what the defensive interior lineman situation is going to be for us. You know, the linebacker position, obviously, last week against Kansas showed a few deficiencies, albeit it was really the schematic, or, you know, the scheme that KU put together to try and kind of get our linebackers moving. But I think it's going to be putting some blitzes together with some of our defensive backs and trying to get Rocco Becht out of the pocket a little bit to try and make some of those mistakes. Can you get him down with some of those secondary, like, blitz type situations? That's great. But just get him thinking to try and make a mistake. And you're absolutely right, Chef. I mean, the road environment for a lot of these younger quarterbacks coming to Manhattan this season has proven that the environment and our team, I mean, obviously K-State is putting together great performances at home, but it is helpful to have an atmosphere that does provide a little bit of a shaky feel for that quarterback or even anybody else to make a mistake, fumble, etc. So I think it's going to be important, as for a lot of our games, that's always a key, is can we get pressure to the quarterback? But I think especially here, if you can do that early and get a turnover, get a couple 3-and-outs early on, that's where the game could get out of hand pretty quickly for Iowa State. But if Rocco Becht is in situations where he's making, you know, he's successful, getting some passes, getting by our secondary, etc., and getting down the field to get points, that's where this could get a little tricky. So, you know, Iowa State's a 6-5 team, but they've done a lot of their damage here later in the season. So this isn't the Iowa State team necessarily that went on the road at Ohio and lost anymore. I mean, technically it is, but it's just not the same team overall. So that's what kind of makes it challenging.
Bob, I want to ask you something. I don't want to get too far off track, but I want to get your opinion on this. Probably since the 90s, is this the most dominant home K-State team we've seen in since the 90s? I mean, I don't even remember those 90s scores necessarily, but 2012, were we that dominant at home? I would have to say we were, but I don't know if the point differential I heard was that we're averaging, it's like 44-13 is the basically the home score average. And that's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I would say it is probably the most dominant home environment we've had since probably 2012, if I had to guess, just because the only loss that season, those 2 losses, came in a bowl game on the road at Baylor. So but to your point, the point differential you're winning these games, but you're still giving up. Oklahoma State, you win 44-30 in 2012. You're still giving up a decent amount of points, and at that point in time, that was a mob defense. That was a defense that we thought was pretty stout at that point in time. There are no games on this. I mean, you even give up 9 points to Missouri State. There's no games in that 2012 season where you're giving up 3 points or less. Full stop.
Oh, I mean, we've got what, 3 shutouts at home, 2 shutouts at home, and 1 almost. I mean, a 3-point score. So basically, 3 shutouts at our home Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I was just wondering. I mean, just because we were talking about, can we keep it up versus Iowa State? Is what I was going to get to.
Not only that, but in general, on senior night, K-State is 10 of their last 13 senior nights, based on this tweet from D. Scott Fritcham, which I thought was fascinating. I hadn't seen that, but it makes sense. I mean, this team always gets up for senior night. They always want to send out their guys on a high note, make sure that they can, go out with a big victory, especially in a rivalry game like this one, farmageddon against Iowa State. But that's hopefully that answers your question from my standpoint.
2014 was probably the closest, because even though we did lose at Auburn, or we lost at home to Auburn, the most points we gave up at home that year was 28, and we had a shutout against Texas that year. So that we had a pretty dominant defense that year too.
Wouldn't that have been nice this year?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really nice. Well, real quick, I do want to play a quick game of superlatives for everybody. So I think just to kick it off, first and foremost, with it being senior night, we've got 25 seniors who are being honored this Saturday, and maybe in some cases they aren't seniors if they're juniors who are going to be leaving. But who is being honored this weekend that you want to give your roses to or give your flowers to for having a great career at K-State for a long period of time? Or maybe it's a transfer that came in that did some damage and is now leaving, graduating. But I'm curious who you would want to honor, who you'd want to give your roses to.
For me, it's an easy answer. And I just got a little goosebumps just thinking about it. And his name's Kobe Savage. His dad's has been a guest on the pod. Kobe Savage has a guy we flipped from North Texas. Imagine that. Just a guy that was unheralded. Nobody thought about it. Tyler Community College. And he's came in here, and from day one, I remember that first game that he played. It was versus, I don't remember the game, but I remember his play. He was violent. He was bringing the wood. He was absolutely destroying people out there, and he was a vocal leader. He was absolutely doing everything that was called upon him, and more. And, that same season he goes down at Baylor, gets hurt in our Big 12 championship run. He is a Big 12 champion. He comes back from the injury and leads a very young secondary, shaky at the beginning, but he turns it around from his leadership for this defense. And like we were just talking about, one of the most dominant defenses we've had at Kansas State at home in a long, long time. And he's part of it. And I want to give him his flowers because he deserves everything that goes along with it. He was all Big 12 last year, even with an injury. And I think the way he's playing, I think he could probably make it again. He's a ball hawk. He's an absolute striker in the box. Love me some Kobe Savage. Shout out to you, my guy. Maybe come back? I don't know. But, whatever. Shout out to my boy Kobe Savage. You deserve all the flowers.
I am going to go with Will Howard. I would say very much a quintessential K-State quarterback if you think about it. He's been 4 years with this program. 2020 thrust into the role, having to play, with a fall camp as a true freshman during the COVID year. I mean, the fan base has been very much up and down against this guy, but he has been all in all K-State. And last season, I mean, in a lot of ways, his play at the end of last season, the last 6 games, was a big reason why we won the Big 12 championship. Being able to put it together. And quite frankly, I mean, you can talk about the achievement in many different ways, but to be the career passing touchdown leader is an impressive feat. And we still have a couple games to go. So he has the chance to break the single season touchdown record this weekend. Right. But overall, I mean, if you talk about a guy who's going to represent K-State as after he graduates to the best he can, it's going to be him. And I do believe that he's going to have a chance to get to the NFL, whether he's drafted or not. He has the talent and the size. I mean, you just never know, especially, I mean, you look at guys like Zach Wilson, not saying that he's like Zach Wilson, but man, like the Jets don't have a fucking quarterback. Maybe, it could be Will Howard. You never know. But I say it in jest, but I mean, Will has done everything he needed to do in his time here and has really just been such a great representative to K-State. And I think as a fan, we can't thank him enough, but as an alum who also like bleeds purple, I am so proud that Will Howard played for our program. And I'm excited to see what he does this weekend. Maybe we get to the Big 12 championship game again. Who knows? We got to have a lot of things happen for us. Probably not happening, but he'll get one last chance in the bowl game. And technically he could return next year. I don't know about that. We'll see. But either way, I'm going to put Will Howard. He's getting my flowers for this senior night.
For me, it's going to be Cooper Beebe. That dude bleeds purple from the core. I mean, he came back for a season that he didn't need to come back for. He corralled essentially the rest of that offensive line, that core, to come back this season as well. And you've got guys, KT Lev, Christian Duffy, Taylor Poitier, like those guys are all guys that were part of that core. He got every single one of them to come back and buy in and commit. And this dude was projected second or third round, maybe higher last year in the draft. He's only proven that he is still that good, if not better, in one of those rare situations where a guy with a draft stock as high as it was probably raised his draft stock even higher this year. So I want to give out as much love as I possibly can to Cooper Beebe. I'm so glad that he also got the experience of playing with his little brother Camden for a year. I don't know what that looks like necessarily with him being, more or less probably scout team and being a true freshman this year. But I love Cooper Beebe. I hope we see his name in the Ring of Honor at some point and be that first offensive lineman. Granted, there are probably some others that could be in that conversation as well. But I love everything that Cooper Beebe did. Local Kansas guy as well. I cannot say enough great things about Cooper. But next question, on a similar note, but we've got Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman for the game on Saturday. This is not as related to senior night. I just want to ask this question real quick before we get to more of the superlatives, but it is a superlative in and of itself. Whose name on the team is Timmy B going to mispronounce this Saturday?
I'm going to get in here before anybody else gets in here. It's Toby Osunsami. On special teams, I think he's going to probably make the first tackle if we kick it short. Toby Osunsami, he's going to go with Tubi Usunamasi. I don't know if I can do a Tim.
Tsunami.
I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do a Tim Brando. I'm not even going to try. That's embarrassing.
Felix Anudike Ujima.
I'm going to go with a name that looks so simple, but he's going to definitely mess it up. Ben Sinnott. He's going to say Sinnott wrong. Sinot.
Oh my God. If you listen to any podcast that's not K-State related and they do Ben Sinnott, it's Ben Sino. Like my.
Why are we making French?
Yes. French.
I don't understand why Ben Sinot. They always get that. God, that has to be one of the worst feelings ever.
Mine's probably going to be if we see him in game action, great. If we don't, then we may not hear it happen. But Uso Seumalo, he's just going to find a way to mispronounce Uso's name. It's going to be like Uso Simulo or something.
Also, you were this close to actually butchering the name too when you said it.
Uso Seumalo.
Seumalo.
And then honorable mention, I would say maybe like Damian Ilalio. He would just say or something. I don't know. Just the dude. I am not looking forward to having to suffer through 3 hours of listening to that man's voice. I've watched a lot of games this year where Tim Brando is making the call, and there have been multiple times where he's asked if Cam Rising, who was in street clothes on the sideline, should be playing. Should they put him in the locker room, put some pads on him, and put him in the game? Like, legitimately trying to speculate that stuff. The dude is an absolute clown. He's the worst commentator on the planet. But
I'm gonna try this for this game. I'm gonna try that the website Sync My Game, and you can put Wyatt over the call, and it syncs the game up with it. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna try it with Tim Brando because him and Spencer Tillman are just. It sounds like listening to Les Miles. Like, it's tough.
And then Spencer Tillman will have some type of like reaction during the play and actually talk during it. Like, he doesn't let the play run. Tim Brando will be play by playing, and Spencer Tillman says something in the background. Like, these guys are not. That's the C team for college football for Fox.
Yeah. And Tim Brando blocks people on Twitter during the games. There was a weird video of him like kissing Spencer Tillman on the cheek last year during a game before a broadcast. It's just, they need to get a room somewhere and not be in the press box would be what I would say to that. But
Meadowlark has some open spots for Tim Brando.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And Les Miles for that.
And less.
But I want to get back to the senior class here. So who would you say is the most improved player in the senior class?
Man. Most improved. This one's a little tougher because my first instinct, because I know what the next question is going to be, I want to say I can use both. To hell with it. The most improved is KT Levinson. The guy, he was it was a debate whether he was going to start at guard last year with Andrew Linegang and, just a bevy of names that we were going to play him at guard instead of Cooper Beebe and keep Cooper Beebe at tackle. So for KT Levinson to be a stalwart at left tackle, and, he's getting a lot of draft clout too. So it's for him to go, and if you listen to what Chris Kleiman has to say about him, how he was not a serious player when he first got there, and it wasn't a good thing, and he was almost off the team. For him to be where he's at today, he is the most improved player in my opinion.
I'm going to stay on the offensive line and go Hayden Gillum, a guy who redshirted in 2018. I mean, think about it. And this is his 6th season. But in the first 2 seasons combined, he played 7 games. In 2021, he played 13 games, all on field goal protection. So 2022 was really his kind of breakout season, and he was all Big 12 honorable mention. I mean, talk about a guy who is just really improved. He's believed in how to build himself up into a top offensive lineman in the Big 12. Has had a great season, obviously, this season as well. So he was a guy, I think, coming from Plainville, Kansas, or, were you expecting him to be all Big 12 honorable mention, his senior year after coming to the program in 2018? Not necessarily. So Hayden Gillum is going to be my most improved.
I'm going to go with Will Howard. It seems like a little bit of an obvious answer, but I remember some of those first couple of games we watched him in. The first couple of seasons were a little rough, and it was tough to watch at times, but seeing what he did last year and fighting that adversity that he felt and overcoming that, totally proving the entire fan base wrong with maybe a couple of outliers there, but he turned that public perception of him as a fan base completely 180 around. And again, similar kind of story this season. There were moments this season where people were wanting Avery and calling for the same thing to happen. And he did the same thing where he fought off the adversity. He turned it around, and he's had a very, very solid. He's probably going to break the touching or the touchdown record this weekend. If I had to put money on it, I would say he's going to break the touchdown record this weekend. Now it's more or less a question of how many does he get and how much does he break it by. So how much separation does he get between him and L. Roberson? But that's the conversation we're having. This guy's in the same conversation as L. Roberson when it comes to guys that have won the Big 12 championship, guys who are, I don't know if he'll be a Ring of Honor guy. I would probably say he won't be, but that dude deserves credit for a lot. Like he's been through the ringer. He's proven all the haters wrong, and he's put together a really nice career at quarterback at K-State.
And I want to say this. I mean, I said this at the beginning of the season on the Bosco's Voice podcast. 2012 was 11 years ago. You know, there's a young contingent of our fan base, 15 years old that don't remember that season. I mean, they might have watched highlights or whatever, but they didn't experience it. Will Howard, for all the things that you just said, is probably the greatest quarterback that they've ever seen. And he could probably go down at, like, for me, the greatest player that I've ever, greatest quarterback was Michael Bishop. And I was 8 years old when that was going down. So, like, people's formative years of watching K-State, a lot of them are watching Will Howard and saying, he's putting up the numbers, he's breaking the records. This is the greatest quarterback that K-State's ever had. And they can't be talked off that ledge because they're not wrong. So, shout out to Will Howard. He's some people's GOAT.
My next question, who is the class clown of this class? I'm going to kick it off.
Just go.
Because mine is Randon Plattner, because that dude last year, what he was doing in the away games, stealing instruments from the marching bands and then posting pictures to Twitter after doing so. I was really disappointed we didn't see one against KU this past weekend, but he hasn't been doing it this year. I would have loved to see one against KU, and I would have loved to see one against Texas Tech, but I'm going with Randon Plattner. He's got the mullet. He seems like he fits that class clown type of archetype.
I want to go somewhere on defense, but it's just nothing's popping. They're all pretty serious. The guy I'm going to reuse is KT Levison. He's always breaking out the dance moves in the skirmishes. He's always clowning around, got a huge smile. I love the mustache. He's the guy. He's so funny. He's hilarious. He's Big 12 championship. He's standing on one hand, breakdancing with no shirt on. That's my guy. He's a goof.
I have no idea. I don't have an answer. I'm literally looking at the roster right now, and I'm like, they all look so serious.
You can go Hayden Gillum. I mean, the offensive line are just a bunch of jokesters. Him and
how did Cooper
Applebee's commercials?
Didn't Cooper Beebe for Halloween dress up as somebody and became
Nacho Libre?
Nacho Libre. All right, I go Cooper Beebe. Good work for Halloween.
Yes, that was an elite. That was an elite costume. Who do you think is most likely to become a coach? And I would maybe add the caveat of a coach at the NFL or college level.
For me, I think this is going to be a sneaky pick that not a lot of people would think about, but Phillip Brooks. He's learned a lot. He's gone through a lot of wide receivers coaches. He's learned from a lot of different people, a lot of different techniques. He has the aesthetic of a young, wide receivers coach. He looks like he could develop into something he's a great route runner, undersized, so he's got the fundamentals down. I'd say Phillip Brooks. That's my guy. I could see him coaching, get the headset on the guy, and he'd probably recruit his ass off, man. Recruit the young ladies.
You bring up a great point, though, because he's one of the Snyder soldiers, and a lot of these guys are part of those Snyder soldiers, the last group of dudes that were recruited by Snyder. But
my bad. Damn, you know who we're not mentioning? I just realized, and I forgot he's not even a free. Daniel Green. Yes. My bad. If you're going to say that, I feel bad, Matt, but it's just popped in my head.
I'll let Bob take that one. No, I'm going to go with Will Howard. I think just from how he's so well spoken as just an individual, and he has proven he can take leadership capability. And no matter if things are going great or they're going not so great, he takes things in stride. He looks like somebody who just tries to improve himself every day. And he seems like somebody that would instill that mindset into younger players. I would not be surprised if he took a little bit of a career trajectory like Colin Klein. I would not be surprised by that. Just with kind of how he shows himself. So I'm going to choose Will Howard on that one.
I'm going to go wild card here. I'm going to go with Seth Porter because he has seen a lot. He's seen obviously the special team side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball, but that dude, I feel like he's one of those guys that behind the scenes has really just been absorbing as much information as he possibly can from the coaching staff. And he seems like the kind of guy that could have, if we're gonna use previous K-State guys as an archetype here, but I would go with maybe like a Jake Waters type where he immediately goes into coaching as opposed to, because he's probably not going to play at the next level. I mean, not even in Canada at that end, but I could see him being a GA somewhere, getting some more experience and working his way up the ranks. But I'm going to go with Seth Porter for that one. Last question, most successful NFL career out of this class. Who are you going to go with?
I mean, I think it's hard not to say Cooper Beebe, right? He's going to be a first round pick. I feel like it would be hard not to pick an offensive lineman for this one because NFL teams like experienced offensive linemen, and offensive linemen can also be few and far between that are like actually good at their job. If you see like the Giants play every weekend. So I'm going to go with Cooper Beebe.
I'm gonna go in here, and I'm not gonna follow and copy yours because I think that is kind of the most obvious answer. Offensive linemen that are elite kind of have long careers, so it's easy to pick that. And no doubt you're right on the money, Matt. But I'm gonna go. This is gonna be out there. Khed Duke in the right system. A pure edge rusher, 3-4 kind of guy where he doesn't have to worry about coverages and all that stuff, and he can be a pure pass rusher. Those guys make bank, and he's got the size, obviously, and, we thought he had the pedigree from the day one before the injury, and I think he's recovered from that very well. Give me Khed Duke as a sneaky guy that could have a long, successful career getting after the quarterback.
I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity or not at the next level, but he would be the type of guy who could come in, and if he gets that opportunity, will capitalize it. I'm going to go with Kobe. Like if he gets an opportunity at that next level, he has the attitude and the drive and the personality of just a ferocious defender at the next level that could do some damage, quickly endear himself to a fan base, and quickly become kind of that cult hero type that he is at K-State, similar to Reggie Stubblefield. Shout out to Reggie Stubblefield for winning the Grey Cup, I think last night or the night before for the Montreal Alouettes. But maybe it isn't even in the NFL. If it's in Canada or something, he could have a similar career to Reggie as well. But I would love to see Kobe get an opportunity and work his way onto a team and do some damage at the next level. But that'll do it for our superlatives for tonight. Chef, you've got your recipe for success. And then Matt, you've got your fireball, Matt's burn it down moment of the week from last week. So whichever one of you wants to go first, maybe we go with Matt first for burn it down moment.
There were so many moments to burn down. I'm surprised that stadium stayed up. Let me tell you. I honestly, my burn it down moment, because there were quite a few, but when I truly burned it down was KU's first drive at the half, in the second half, and how they moved the football like that was it was very much kind of just like this feeling of, oh man, like we did absolutely nothing at the half to try and make some adjustments here. Obviously the defensive performance in the first half was not great. So just coming out of the half, you're like, man, this is really bad. So admittingly, a lot of burn it down moments last week, but I'm going to pick that drive as the burn it down moment of the week.
All right, we're going right into that recipes for success, baby. And my recipe is an actual recipe. You know, a souffle, the most important part is the finish. You know, you always got those wacky cartoons like back in the day where like they had to be like dead still quiet to get the souffle so it doesn't sink down. And that's kind of symbol. It's kind of a symbol for this season. You know, we're not exactly where we want to be, but we can finish exactly, you know, we might not get to the ultimate goal, but we could still finish very, very strong and have this souffle rising super duper high, but you have to finish. You have to get it out the oven. You have to place it. You have to let it rest. Finish with a little powdered sugar if it's a sweet souffle. But that's what Iowa State is. We have to finish. This season is not over. And don't let fucking Iowa State fucking sink your souffle. That could be the worst thing in the world. So we're going to go out there and go finish. Finish strong. Pound them in the dirt. Get this game over with so we might be in the Big 12 championship. Who knows? Let the chips fall where they may, but we got to finish. Souffle time, baby. Hashtag souffle time.
Can you spell souffle?
Yes. Is it SOUFFLE?
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Nice
I didn't even look.
You're not trying to add the T to the end, and I mean it probably is French, but like Sino. That was dumb. Hit me with your score prediction, Chef.
Well, like we talked about a lot for these home stretches, man, these splits for this home game and the away team scores. I would hate to say that we're not going to reach that. So I would say I'll go 42-24.
Oh, palindrome.
Spell palindrome. No, I'm kidding.
No chance.
I'm going 38-24 Cats. I think we're going to play a really great game at home. We're going to get Iowa State to make some mistakes. We'll capitalize, and it'll be a good senior night for our group.
Are you thinking that's a garbage time touchdown and gets them to 24 or what?
Am I thinking garbage
I mean,
time touchdown?
How many times has that happened over the past 2 years? A lot, you know. Will they do it if it's a 20, if they've already got 17? I don't know. You know, usually those are reserved for actually trying to get into the end zone. I don't know. But if they did, that would be very Matt Campbell-esque.
I'm going 35-14 Cats. I just think that Iowa State's a little bit too one-dimensional right now, and I think we're going to game plan appropriately for that. So I feel good about senior night. I feel good about ending the season with a victory and finishing off 9-3 for the regular season. Well, we're going to move on to our Week 13 locks. Chef, you've got something to do there. Chef has put the bag on. He's the bag boy yet again. Last week, Matt went 4-1. He had a great week. The only miss was our friends at Iowa State against Texas +8. I finished the week 3-2 with Vic. Yeah, I'm not going to go into each individual one. And then Chef was 1-4. The only W was UCF, which is kind of wild to me. But season standings, Fireball Matt is still in first with a very tight 30-28 and 30 wins, 28 losses, and 2 pushes. I'm in second with a 28-32 record overall. And then Chef is in last, back on the bottom, back in the bag with a 26-32-2 record. Chef is the bag boy once again, and Chef does not speak until he goes last. Fireball Matt, kick us off with your locks for this week.
Yeah. So Big 12 locks. So I'm going to take Texas 12.5-point favorite over Texas Tech on Friday. I am doing this as just to like maybe play the opposite game here. Maybe just somehow can Baron Morton turn into Patrick Mahomes and torch a Texas defense? Is there anything that I could pray for more? I don't know, but alas, I'll take Texas to cover 12.5. I'm going to take West Virginia at Baylor. They are 8.5-point favorites. Baylor probably won't have Blake Shapen. So West Virginia, I think, on the road. That means they would win 8 games.
Yeah.
Are they? Wow.
Is this Dave Aranda's last game?
This could. I do believe it's going to be Dave Aranda's last game.
He's going to be the defensive coordinator at USC. Book it.
Ooh, that is a move that could save Lincoln Riley. And then I'm going to take TCU to cover 10.5 at Oklahoma. Can Josh Hoover turn into the next Max Duggan and torch the Oklahoma defense? I don't know, but I'm going to take TCU on a Friday as well.
Matt, your Big 12 picks you're asking for a lot. You know, we've got tiebreaker scenarios to think about.
I muted him because he's not supposed to speak yet.
Yeah. Don't speak, you Trader Joe's bag. National Game of the Week, which could technically also be a sicko game of the week if you want to put it together. But Iowa is a 2-point underdog at Nebraska on Friday. I think Iowa scores 7 points and Nebraska scores 3. Iowa covers.
I was about to ask, do you think 2 points even get scored in this game?
I think 2 points do get scored in this game. Albeit nobody would be surprised if it didn't, but I'm going to take Iowa. And then my sicko game of the week, Miami, Ohio, 6-point favorite at Ball State. Miami, Ohio, a 9-win team. They're going to be 10-win team on Saturday. Those are my picks.
Book it. Book that. Bob's locks. I'm going to go opposite of Matt. I'm going Texas Tech plus 12.5. I think after what happened against Iowa State last week that Texas may not cover. 12.5 points seems like a lot of points. Texas Tech is going to get up for that game. So there's stranger things that have happened for sure, especially in that matchup. And especially since this is Texas Tech's last shot against Texas, probably outside of a bowl game ever. KU -6 at Cincinnati. I'm going with the Squawks. They're going to bounce back. They're going to go into a bad Cincinnati team, and they're going to win at Nippert. Not worried about that at all. West Virginia -8.5 against Baylor. I'm going the same as Matt there. I think this is Dave Aranda's last game at Baylor as well. We will see. We'll have to debrief next week and see if it is or not. National game. Some could argue that in the past this was a sicko game. You've got the Ole Piss matchup that happened back in 2019, but I'm going to go with the Egg Bowl, and I'm taking Ole Miss -10.5 against a bad Mississippi State team that just fired their head coach and got 50 burgered by a Jimbo Fisher team that also fired their head coach after that game. So give me the fighting Lane Kiffins in that matchup. And then my sicko game, I'm going with 2 teams that have a combined 5 wins on the season. I'm going to take UMass +2.5 versus UConn in a rivalry game that doesn't have a name. Give me the Minutemen. What are they? The Minutemen?
The Minutemen.
Yeah. Give me UMass +2.5 against UConn. Bag boy, you can speak now.
My neighbor across the street, his nephew plays for UMass. Shout out to him. Running back. Pretty solid. Okay. We're going Big 12 locks first. I got TCU +10.5. There's a lot of tiebreaker scenarios that we need to think about here. Man, I want them. I want a lot of them to happen, but I'm also playing for second place here. So let's go TCU plus 10.5. Get it done for me, baby. West Virginia -8. Matt broke it down. That's kind of, I think we're all on that one. It's kind of obvious. Robertson at Baylor is stinky doo-doo. He's not good. So that's an easy cover for West Virginia. Let's go Neil Brown. Coach of the year, probably. That's, I would say, who says no? Shout out to Mason Voth. My only differential, I'm the solo guy on this game. UCF -13.5. Dana Holgerson's given up. He's tapped out, bro. He doesn't want it anymore. He's definitely not wanting to go to Orlando. So fuck that noise. UCF, bounce house is bouncing again. -13.5. UCF, Golden Knights. National game, the game. This game, I mean, people are already talking. We've got, 10.5 people have already called off at work. So for Saturday, which is outrageous. Nobody's getting their mail on Saturday because the game is at noon. Ohio State +4 versus the ballless Michigan team. Let's go Buckeyes. OH. That's crazy. JJ McCarthy's struggling real bad. I don't know. Michigan might be a little fraudulent. Who knows? They struggle with Maryland. Then my sicko game. How is this on rivalry week? I'll never understand it. But give it to me. These are easy points, baby. ODU, stinky doo-doo, real bad. I don't know if they're Blake Seiler's still on this team, but that's a connection to K-State. But give me Georgia State. I love them fighting for bowl eligibility. Come on, Georgia State. Get it done. +3. Wrong teams favored. Book it.
Blake Seiler is still the defensive coordinator at ODU.
He's alive.
And Bag Boy is out of the bag.
He's alive.
God, I was sweating up in there.
Well, we're gonna get out of here, but just want to say thanks to all of the listeners this Thanksgiving week. It's very, very nice to have a fan base of people that listen to this. And granted, it's like 200 listeners strong, basically. But hey, that's better than nothing. I appreciate every single one of you that decides to listen or watch our stupid takes and all that shit, and look at our stupid, ugly, bald faces on YouTube if you want to do that. But I just want to say thanks to all the listeners and viewers. It's fun to have you. It's fun doing this pod, and thank you to Fireball Matt and Chef for being along this ride with me. I'm having two of you as co-hosts.
Yeah, during this week, I want to give my thanks to you guys. I'm thankful for this opportunity for you guys. It's Thanksgiving week. You're listening to this. If you're a sicko and you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, get a life. Just kidding. I love you guys. I'm thankful for Matt. I'm thankful for Bob. You guys are, unexpected friends, and I love it. And I can't wait to act when, next year, maybe even basketball season, we'll get to hang out. We'll break bread. Just thankful for the opportunity, and I'm thankful for all the Coke heads.
I'm thankful.
That's it. I love it.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm thankful. This has been awesome to see how we've been able to talk every week for the past over a year now. I could probably do it with better people, but I'm very lucky to have. No, I'm kidding. This is awesome, and I want to say thanks to all the listeners and everybody, Spotify, Apple, YouTube now. We've tried to grow this organically, and we appreciate just being able to put content out for everybody every week. So enjoy Thanksgiving. Everybody stay safe when you're traveling. Don't do anything dumb. And if you live in Kansas, we'll see you at the Bill on Saturday.
Let's get this dub this weekend. Farmageddon. I'm pumped. I'm going to be watching with my mother-in-law in Houston, so it's going to be a tense household, I would say, on Saturday night, but I'm feeling good about a Cats victory. But for all of us at Cocaine Willie, thank you for listening to the show on your feeds, watching us on YouTube, whatever, wherever you're getting it. Do us a favor, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating or follow the show. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you are anywhere else on social media, Twitter, we're on TikTok now. 3 millennials managed to find a way to get on TikTok. So the Chinese government's going to have our faces in all of their databases, which is hilarious to me. But follow the show on TikTok. It's the same handle as everything else, at Cocaine Willie. Or follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Fireball Matt's at Matt Marchesini. And Chef is at Chef Andre Napier. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all coke and no joke, Wildcat Country.
Let's
ride,
baby.
Let's ride.
Oh.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Oh man, Marbo man.